Dingus, what's the difference between an AE86 and an AE85?
The main difference between the AE86 and AE85 is the engine. The AE86 is equipped with a 1.6-liter DOHC engine, while the AE85 has a 1.5-liter SOHC engine. Additionally, the AE86 is known for its higher horsepower and performance capabilities compared to the AE85.
And then my reverse cam is right there. You know, this is a really cool car, except for it's missing one thing. If you look closely, there is no radio in this car. To fix that problem and issue, our friends at ATOTO have sent us a radio. I know what you're thinking. How's this radio going to sound good with speakers from 1987? Well, they also sent us a slim subwoofer that goes underneath the seat. First, let's open our stereo. We got a box here. Let's just pull that out. Okay, so the screen is about 7 inches, the touchscreen. And this should be the perfect size to fit into a double-din stereo. I'm guessing this is all the accessories. Some instructions, cables, wiring harness, brackets, an antenna. Well, what I like too, it even comes with screen protectors. You have a frosted film so you don't get any reflection, and an HD film. So if you look at the back here, it even gives you a little pinout for the wiring harness, what goes where, and it gives you a little pinout what all these outputs is. Okay, so in our other box, we have this 10-inch slim amplified subwoofer. Looks like a controller. This probably controls the bass. Looks like various wires. This looks like a power wire with an inline fuse, harness for the sub, and a remote wire, looks like. It also comes with various brackets and self-tapper or sheet metal screws. And then we have our subwoofer. Would you look at that? This is like unboxing a Christmas present. And heavy duty. Everything is labeled. I'm not really familiar with subwoofers, so we're gonna figure out what all this stuff does. Alright, we got everything here to rock some Eurobeat in the mountains. Before we get started, we gotta see what kind of wiring is in the car. Okay, if we look deep inside under here, there's a bunch of wires. But what is nice is these are adapters. I'm so glad they didn't chop the original harness on this car. What's nice about these connectors is the colors, you can just color match. I got lucky. This actually is labeled here. Battery constant, black is a ground. Well, all of these are actually labeled. We're gonna see, because I need them for each individual connection. Yeah, we'll just get a bunch of these 2-wire ones. And Wago. And we got a good amount of cable. We got good length. So I'm not too worried about cutting this too short. And while I'm working on this thing, I'm leaving this on the charger because I'm going to be having the ignition on and I don't want the battery to die. I got the bulk of it connected. I even hooked up the power antenna and the illumination. Okay, this harness is ready for plug and play. Yes, my car is an automatic, but what's cool is I don't even need the key. You can just put it in low gear or neutral. I'm just going to make sure the unit powers on before taking off all this trim. We're going to plug it in. Let's turn on the ignition. This can, oh look, turned on its own. I didn't even have to turn on the key, which means something's not wired right here. So it works, I need to re-look at the wiring harness. This is the GPS and antenna. So let's plug that into the unit. Okay, well obviously I think this takes a regular FM antenna, which is this connection. And yeah, getting static because I haven't plugged in my antenna yet. I like the touchscreen. You can hear the clicks. Just hold it down. Hold it down. Simple. Very self-intuitive. I'm guessing you go back to menu there. Yeah, dude, this is super simple. Okay, so we're gonna unplug the unit. Okay, and then we're going to get a test light and we're gonna see what gets power with ignition on. I mean, it's not ignition on. 10.7 volts. I turn on the ignition, it goes to 12.8. So we got to figure out, why is this circuit backfeeding voltage? This 10.8 voltage is just enough to trigger on the stereo. Nothing wrong with the stereo, it's my wiring, old car issues. Okay, so I'm just unraveling mysteries here. I was getting battery voltage there until I pulled the fuse. I pulled the fuse, I was no longer getting that 10.7, 10.8 volts there. I'm probing the radio fuse and I was getting that 10.8 volts. And then I ended up pulling all the fuses and now we don't get any voltage. We're literally going to be plugging each fuse until we see this go back, the voltage jump. Oh, dome light. Every time I plug in the fuse for dome light, we're backfeeding voltage into the radio. 11.52. This could be something as simple as a broken bulb. Okay, let's test it to see if it's still backfeeding after taking out this bulb. I wish it was something more simple, but for the time of this video, we're just going to leave this disconnected. And let's see if our ignition switch actually works now. My ignition switch is on accessory. If I switch this off, the radio should turn off. And if I should switch this on, that should all light up. Now that we got the wiring sorted out, I can actually take off the interior trim and mount this thing. Okay, we have our handy dandy number 2 JIS screwdriver. Let's lift up this. Okay, so had to take out all that to take out this. I realize now these also come with brackets that look pretty universal, that you can slide this into any position, but these are offset. This isn't directly up and down. Is a desirable position. This nice reflection. Maybe I'll put on the non-glare screen protector because it's very shiny. Maybe we should clean up some of these cigarettes here. More or less stereo works. We just need some bass, so we have this subwoofer that goes underneath the seat. For now, we're going to wire it up outside of the car just to make sure everything works. Our harness here, this should plug in, and then we'll just clip this to the charger. This has a ground wire, 2 ground wires, same thing, white to white, red to red. Hook up our remote, purple, and then we're going to get this phone jack looking cable, plug it into remote, plug it into this controller. Then we get our remote. We're going to color match our RCA. So as we can see, this thing really bumps. So as soon as I turned off the sub, I heard the battery charger turn on. That's because this battery is terrible and it's only a 55 amp alternator. But that's a problem for the future. Okay, so we're just going to move all of this inside underneath that seat. A little bit of a miscalculation here. It doesn't really fit because there's like this ducting and stuff under here. Not a lot of room for this to actually slide under. So plan B is to mount it in the trunk. Okay, so I decided to mount it onto the back seat. It doesn't fit just on one side because we have these lock mechanisms. So that's why we have these brackets here. And these should just kind of clever because even if these back up, even if these back out, whatever it's mounted up against is flush. So we're definitely butchering this car today. We're already drilling screws into it. We got it bolted down. Let's see if this closes. And there you go. Let's wire it up. We got our wiring harness going down. But for now, we just have our wires hanging out there. Then they make our way underneath the seat and they reappear here. All we have to do is plug and play. This is the bass turned down. Another feature of this radio is it also has a built-in dash cam, right? I bought these cameras. It's just a regular RCA and power, and it should hook up to this radio. So it has two channels. It has front and rear for the dash cam. And you're thinking, where are you going to mount it? On the license plate with a bracket and look like everyone else? Let me show you. All right, well, here's my taillight with a big crack in it. My plan is to Dremel this out and shove my camera in there and have it kind of flush, even though. Okay, a little while later, we have a camera. A little closer picture. And then I super glued it, and then I filled the rest with hot glue. Not bad. I could live with that. That doesn't look too shabby at all. All right, finished buttoning everything up. So the amp wire, I actually poked a hole through that grommet and ran it right here, and I tapped it straight into the alternator. I still have the reverse light bulb still here, and we have the camera, which you can barely see on that side. And I have the wires running up and over. Sorted the interior out a little. Turn the ignition on. And it loads right away, straight to CarPlay. And then we got the bass control. And then I gotta figure out how to hook up the rear camera properly, but there we go, reverse cam. I gotta figure out exactly which wire to trigger the switch on. So we'll have a front-facing dash camera and a rear-facing dash camera. Play your songs that are copywritten. Okay, so this vehicle also has ChatGPT built into the radio. Dingus. What's Initial D?
Initial D is a popular Japanese manga and anime series created by Shuichi Shigeno. It revolves around the world of illegal street racing in the mountain passes of Gunma Prefecture in Japan.
Okay, so we finally got this thing going. The main thing I just use is CarPlay. You hit it, it connects through Bluetooth. So if I wanted to play any music, we would just boom. And then we can turn up the bass. The install is never straightforward on these old cars. All in all though, I got bumps and we got a stereo.